Welcome, Bombers.
How are we all doing?
Now. Got a big stream today. A lot of alpha to talk about.
So much alpha, including also the new NFTs. Brand new today.
Indeed.
Just trying to see if our YouTube's working. Yes, it is. Nice.
Excellent. Oh, I hear an echo. You got your sound on?
Turn my echo off, yeah.
Amateur. Just kidding.
Amateur.
All right, well, let's talk about Abra first. That's the huge item. I didn't get a chance to write the article yet, so we'll just talk about it now, and I'll write it up sometime today. But let's just discuss what, how that works, what it's going to mean for the protocol, what the process is to kind of get that approved, and I guess plan Bs if by chance we can't get that approved, because we got some pretty good plan Bs for that as well.
For sure.
So first, for anyone that's not aware, with Abracadabra money, well, I guess I can just first talk about what Abracadabra is. So Abracadabra is a protocol that lets you deposit collateral, various different types of assets as collateral, and then you can borrow their own US stablecoin, which is Magic Internet Money, or MIM. The great thing about this is that the typical collateral options are yield-bearing tokens. So, if you want to have exposure to a certain asset, or you want to hold a particular token that, inherently gains value, it's a yield, bearing token. That's something that you can deposit as collateral and then borrow US stablecoin against that. So as your token, goes up in value, you can essentially, have more safety on your borrow position, or you could just, borrow more. So basically, to get this set up with Abracadabra, they actually get you to deploy all your own contracts. Basically have to do everything yourself, your own price oracles with accurate pricing that's time weighted. You got to figure all that stuff out yourself. So while I was doing that, I just, I forked their whole protocol, and that was the easiest way for me to figure out how everything works, just because they don't give you any instructions. So first we had our own full fork of it. Wasn't the game plan to actually use that. So as soon as there was a good enough grasp to launch production stuff on their, within their ecosystem, that's what I went ahead and did. So anybody that, again, is not aware of it, you can actually play with this. It's live production contracts. And I've just forked their website, an old version of it, just so that we can interact with the contracts. So I'll just kind of demo that right now for you guys. So actually, I guess I'll pull up their actual site as well.
Saying also, did you want to pop up their forums and just quickly briefly explain what stage we're on there as well?
Yeah, I'll talk about that after, but yeah, good call there.
Okay, cool.
So this is their production website. They support multiple different networks. So we're just looking at, the BSC network right now, which is probably their least used network, and one that they want more action on this network. So that's why, one of the reasons that we're a great fit for them. Just to quickly show you, if you go over to Phantom, you see a whole bunch of other options here with a lot more action on them. So and again, back to the yield bearing token aspect, XBOO is the staked version of BOO, which is Spooky Swap on Phantom. So that's all, that's got a pretty high APR on it. Nothing like what XBomb has, but that's, it's basically lets you, for people, like the good example is for people that want exposure to BOO token, they can keep their BOO, they can have that constantly increase in value by having it staked and holding the receipt token XBOO. And then they can come here and they can deposit that. I'll actually have a position in this right now. I can show you guys. So, I've got $1,000 worth of collateral. I've got, I borrowed $684 of MIM, 8% away from getting liquidated. It's perfectly fine. Here it shows you how much more stable coin you can borrow if you want to. So, just to show you guys, if I go like 45, I'd be within 1.8% from getting liquidated. That's a little bit closer than I want to get, so I won't do that. But essentially, yeah, you deposit collateral of, an asset that, you want exposure to, or an asset that is growing rapidly, has a high APR on it. So I think, for us with our XBOM that we're proposing to become a collateral choice, I think it's, it really is both of those things. It's an asset that, everybody wants exposure to. Basically it's Bitcoin, pegged to Bitcoin. So, it's the chances of getting liquidated are the least of all the crypto just because of the stability of it. And XBOM, I'm anticipating it's going to be paying somewhere in the 600 to 1,000% APR range at first. And I mean, that'll gradually drop as, as more and more BOM funnels into getting staked and turned into XBOM, but it'll stay exceptionally high. So, I mean, you're potentially going to be doubling your value, like with Bitcoin staying perfectly flat. I think you're going to be doubling your, the value of your collateral every maybe 45 days or so. So you can basically, without taking on any additional risk, you could borrow twice as much like every 45 days, which is pretty insane. So
exponential growth on that is just awesome.
Yeah. So I'll give a quick demo of how this works. Then I want to talk about, how what I just said, how like what that actually means for our protocol. So let's do a quick demo here. Actually, you know what? Maybe I should do the demo after, because with the demo, I want to, I'm going to use that MIM to go into the next part that we're going to talk about. So let's just talk about how this is going to benefit the protocol. So as we all know, when we have a high demand for our primary token BOM, it basically keeps the whole system extremely healthy. If we're staying above peg, we're constantly printing from our boardroom, which basically means we're constantly minting new BOM. So our B shareholders are happy. They're, getting a huge APR for staking B shares. That causes the price of B share to go up, which makes our farms extremely lucrative. When somebody basically, so pretty much what this is accomplishing is it's really reducing sell pressure. And at the same time, it's going to be bringing a whole bunch of new buy pressure. So it's pretty much exactly what our protocol needs to be unbelievably healthy.
For sure. You've said this a few times now, that if we were to get on Abra and this all goes ahead, that there will literally be no reason to sell BOM. So like you said, a greatly reduced sell pressure, because all you'd have to do is just go into Abra, get some MIM, and then purchase whatever other token you like, and just have both. Simply that. There's no need to sell BOM at all.
Well, yeah, exactly. Right. So it's like, so the two things to look at is people that would typically sell BOM. So people that are in the boardroom that, they get a big chunk of BOM every 6 hours. They would, typically maybe sell a bit for profit, sell a bit to buy some other coin that they like, or they'd sell half of it for Bitcoin, BTCB, in order to farm with that in our pair. Now, once we have the Abra partnership going, it doesn't make sense to do that. What it makes sense to do is to take that BOM, stake it for XBOM, and now you're going to be earning, 300, 400, 500% APR on that BOM, and you can just go borrow MIM to do whatever you want. And with inflation doing what it's doing, and with Bitcoin, its track record over the last 10 years, it's pretty clear that you want the exposure to Bitcoin, and you want to borrow the US dollar, because it's going to be cheaper to pay back. And also, borrowing MIM is at, it's going to be at 3% APR. So essentially you're going to be getting paid, 300+% APR on your XBOM, and then you're going to borrow MIM and only pay 3% for that loan. Yeah. So it's a no-brainer, right?
100%.
So it's like, I was trying to work through, like, in what situation does it ever make sense to sell BOM? It's like, no matter what you need to buy, do you need to put a down payment on a house? Well, you know what? Stake your XBOM, put it as collateral, borrow MIM, and pull that out. I mean, it's like, no matter what you need to buy, it makes more sense to keep your exposure to XBOM as opposed to selling BOM. Right. It's kind of like, it's kind of hard to grasp sometimes, just because it's like, there's literally no reason to sell BOM once this is implemented. And then to talk about like new buy pressure, well, where else can you get 300+% APR on a yield bearing token and then borrow a US stablecoin against that? That's just unheard of. So if someone that doesn't even have any interest in Bitcoin or BOM or, what we're doing, it would still make sense for them to just buy BOM, stake it for XBOM, and borrow MIM. and then go do whatever trade they want to do. So, you know, once this gets approved and we get, you know, some influencers see it and they get the word out, I mean, this is going to blow up. And, you know, I've said in the communities that, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we hit somewhere in the 2 to 5 peg range, just because we can only mint BOM at a certain speed, but the demand for BOM can grow exponentially, and I feel it will grow exponentially.
Yeah. So especially for a lot of our BOM squad who want to collect more discount Bitcoin, basically in the form of BOM, especially for now. Say Abra goes live and straight away we get in there, and you can, you know, it's 75% you've put the borrow limit at. You could get that much more BOM in your wallet, ready to pretty much go all the way up to the moon.
Yep,
as they say.
All right, so let's do a quick demo here. So because we don't have the official partnership yet, but we are deployed on their ecosystem. So the contract that's powering this right now is part of their bento box and the master contracts that they've already deployed. If that's over your head, don't worry about it. It's not too important, but it's basically part of their ecosystem. But they did not. So typically they would deposit, you know, $1 million worth of MIM in here for us to borrow. They didn't do that yet because we don't have the partnership. So I just put in like $750 or $800 worth of MIM, just so that everybody could play around with it. So right now there's only 160 left, but that's more than enough to demo with. So just let's take a quick look at some of the stats here, though, just so you know, you can familiarize yourself with this. So 1 MIM is always $1 US. 1 XBOM is 460 MIM. That's going to be going up every single day with Bitcoin staying flat. Obviously, Bitcoin going up is going to increase that as well. So the higher that the value of XBOM goes, the more that you can borrow, or the safer your loan position is. So looking at my stats right now, I've got 900 XBOM deposited, which is worth 4,100. I've borrowed 142 MIM, and my liquidation price is incredibly low just because I borrowed hardly anything against that collateral. And you also got this handy bar up here just to show you like how close you are to getting liquidated. So what I will do is I don't really need to deposit more collateral. I'll put some in anyways. So I'll put 50 more XBOM in, and I'll take out, 50 MIM. And you have the choice of updating the price as well, which is just going to force a refresh on the price from the Oracle. Not too critical to do that, but if you're like right on the verge of getting liquidated, you might want to update it potentially. Our Oracle is not very gas intensive though, so I doubt that changes the cost of the transaction all that much. So let's take a look, give that a refresh. I could already tell. So now you can see I've got 50 MIM in my wallet, and I would have 50 less XBOM. I think that's what I put in. So you can see all these figures got updated. Yeah, that's pretty much that. So at any point you can pay back MIM. Right now I have way too much collateral in here. I don't need that much collateral in here, so I could take out 825 units if I wanted to, for example. I can't really keep an eye on the YouTube chat if you want to just keep an eye on that.
Yeah, I was about to say, got Imran asking a question, just saying, hold up, are we already on Abra? Can I go and borrow? So basically I want to explain to him that this is currently a fork, but we've put a tiny bit of liquidity into just to show that we're capable.
Yeah. So on the homepage of this, it kind of explains what this is. So this is a fork of their website that was put up strictly to demonstrate our ability to deploy the contracts, and that the contracts all work, and our price oracle works and it's accurate. It basically right on the homepage, it says it's a copy of abracadabra.money to demonstrate the XBOM integration. Contracts are production ready, so feel free to use this all you want, play around with it. Only 700 MIM was deposited for testing. So, after you borrow some, if you could pay it back just so others could play around too, that'd be appreciated. And if you want to look at the contract, that's it right there. For those guys that are interested in that, look, we've already made $20 for Abracadabra just with $700 of test money. So
awesome. I say another question here, Aaron, from YouTube. When the liquidation price is met, what would happen? Or let's say you're close to it, what should you do?
Okay, so I mean, when you're close to it, I mean, ideally, so XBOM is going to be growing in value at a rapid pace. So if you're not like pushing things to the absolute limit, it shouldn't really be too much of a concern, but it is something that, you should check up on once in a while, especially if you see like the price of BOM dropped or Bitcoin's tanking or, anything like that's going on, especially if you like already had a position that was very close to, the edge. So what would happen is, so you're allowed to borrow 75% of the value of your collateral, and there's an 11% liquidation fee. So basically you would essentially lose 11% of the value of your collateral when you get liquidated. And because of the way that smart contracts work, when you drop below that price point, that's your liquidation price. Actually, let me refresh this. Let me get mine a little bit closer so I can demonstrate. So right now I'm still pretty far away. So let's see, can I pick out 70? Oh wait. Let's see what that is. Doesn't want to do anything. No, might be trying to remove too much. So this is an old copy of their website. It's not as good as their current one. There we go. That's good. So basically, when your account is in a liquidatable state, basically there's typically bots that are running that are checking for accounts that are able to be liquidated because they get a bonus for initiating that liquidation. So basically, what would happen is all the MIM that you've borrowed, you get to keep that. Of course, they can't touch that, but you would, of the value of your collateral, you would lose the liquidation fee. Is that clear enough, or do you want to add anything to that? And to be
I think that's perfectly clear. Though I understand that. I don't know if any more questions in the chat about that, but I think that's pretty straightforward.
I'll be 100% honest. Like I haven't done a ton of research on exactly what happens there. So it's, I believe that's exactly how it works. I could be slightly off there.
I believe something else might happen when you start to do the looping, but we'll get to that as and when we add that option to our borrowing.
Yeah. So if you look now, so my liquidation price is 438. So it looks like when I set up this demo site, I must have messed up the math somewhere because it shouldn't really show that I have negative MIM left to borrow if I'm not at a liquidatable state. So one of these numbers is off somewhere, but that's just a front end issue. It's not a smart contract issue. But so right here, I'm 6% away from getting liquidated. XBOM has to drop by 29 cents for me to be in trouble. And so to correct this, what you could do is you could either pay back MIM or you can just deposit more collateral. And pretty much as simple as that.
If you can branch out a bit more on the repaying section of the question in the YouTube chat, just saying a little confused on the repayment part. Just what happens and when you should.
Okay. So, I mean, it's really depends on what your strategy is, like what you're trying to accomplish. So what I'll be doing is I'll almost never really be repaying. What I'll be doing is I'll be constantly adding more XBOM. So if Bitcoin has a bad day and it's getting me a little bit too close to liquidation or, not in the range that I'm comfortable with, I would, much prefer to deposit additional XBOM as opposed to repaying MIM. If you don't have that option and you have MIM sitting around, then of course you could, either way, if I had MIM sitting around, I'd rather convert that MIM to BOM, deposit my BOM for XBOM and deposit that as collateral. Obviously if you're, really close to liquidation and that's not an option, obviously you'll have to do whatever you have to do to not get liquidated, which typically is going to be, trade something that you have for MIM to pay it back. So the two ways that you're going to get further away from getting liquidated is either repaying MIM here. So, I can repay $25 here, or I can just deposit more collateral here. Just to show a quick demo, so I have 55 in right now. Let's put another 55.
Yeah. So once you add more collateral, you'll have more leeway, more movement room, and we'll see that in a second when it updates.
Funny thing about this website is you kind of have to refresh it. It's not like most Web3 sites where it just kind of auto updates when the data changes.
Yeah.
Should be updated now. So there you go. So 110, and look at all that extra safety I got now.
Yeah, miles away. And also just to add about what you said a minute ago, about repaying it with only having to actually pay a tiny fee to borrow that for the whole year, when we've got XBOM, which will be earning, as you said, 200 plus, 500% APR. There's really no need to ever repay it. Really, just makes sense to hold it and borrow it and buy whatever you want.
100%.
Exactly.
All right. Let's maybe did we cover everything that we wanted to cover? Oh no. So let's talk about how we're going to get this approved and our progress.
So yeah, just a recap on the forum, how it's going, the stages.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So the first step is we need to demonstrate that there's actually a user base that's interested in actually using this, just to make sure it's worth their time to implement this. So what I did is I just created a collateral proposal and their idea discussion on Abracadabra Money. I just kind of explained what we were all about, why this would be beneficial, how I went about deploying the contracts. Basically I said everything that I needed to say to kind of show them that I understood how it worked, and I, deployed everything in the right way, and that I even set the parameters in a way that's going to be a little bit more costly for our borrowers, but still extremely cheap. But that's going to give them more revenue from this, which makes them more likely to approve it. For example, like the interest I've seen typically is 2% to 3%. I went with 3%. XBOM is going to be paying multiple hundreds of percent APR to the holders. So I figured, we could pay 3 instead of 2 if that's going to increase our odds of getting approved. Well,
for sure. If you can make the spell holders more money, that's basically what this is. There's more chance that they're going to vote for it to be put through. 100%.
Yeah. Because they're the ones that end up getting all the fees that are generated from this. And the other 2 things that I did above and beyond what I needed to do is I'm only allowing us to borrow 75% of the collateral value. So that's, I think for our type of token, that's probably pretty standard. But for a lot of the other tokens that are just like a native token on a network like Wrap BNB, I think it's like 90 or 95%, which is understandable. Yep. It's a lot more stable. They got billions of dollars in market cap, I think. So just makes sense that would be allowed to borrow more against it. So we went with a really conservative number there. And as well, this is not accurate. The borrow fee, I believe, is actually I have it set to 1%. So you're going to be paying 1%. As soon as you borrow 100, you owe 101, just because of that 1% that hits instantly. So that's actually like a much bigger factor than like the 3% that you pay over the year, right? Because you're right away paying 1% on that. But still very worth doing. But and again, this is all just to give Abra more security, more revenue, and basically make it more likely for us to get approved.
Yeah, everything we can do right now to get that process moving and get the vote started. I feel if we can get the vote started, it's going to be a whitewash of yes, add it.
Yeah,
I believe.
Well, I mean, all the feedback that we've gotten has all been like extremely positive. Obviously from our community, but also from Abra guys. They, on the forum, they're really liking this. So
you've been in talks. The team have been in talks with large spell holders and also key members of the Abra team, and they're all asking for more information. They're all very interested. So really, really positive news on that.
Oh wait, I'm getting hold on one sec.
Okay.
My stream is saying I'm streaming in the wrong resolution. One sec.
Oh. So nobody's mentioned it yet.
Well, the quality might be pretty horrible compared to what it usually is, but we'll get that fixed for next time.
Okay, cool. All right. Also, so any more questions in chat about Abracadabra at all? We'll just quickly go through the process now whilst we're waiting for those questions.
Back to this though. So when I posted this about XBOM and their idea discussions, it got an incredible response from our community and from the Abra guys. I got a badge for 50 likes or 50 hearts on the post. Like I'm only one of only 4 people that's ever gotten that on their whole forum since it was created. So that's, we're a relatively new and smaller protocol. So for that to happen, that's, shows how strong our community is. And, it's exactly what we need to have to, to get approved. So great work, everyone, with that. And it's definitely helping our odds. So the next step after this is basically the admins of this forum. What they'll do is they'll actually move this over to the new collateral proposals here. So, regular people like us aren't allowed to create topics here. So, now that they see that there's a lot of interest in this, they'll move it here. And this is where like a more serious discussion will occur. And if everything goes well here, then it goes to the official governance vote. So that's where the stake spell holders would vote on if they want us to be able to use XBomb for collateral. That's pretty much it. Like as soon as they approve it, they'll, XBomb will be an option right here on their main site for BSC, which I'm on. And they'll, probably start with putting $1 million worth of MIM in here for us to borrow. And I mean, so for anyone that's
got one more question about Abra is a guy's asking about if we can explain looping. Okay. So when you're doing all that on them.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if we'll be able to have the automatic looping. I'm sure we can, but I'll just explain how it's done manually. And then, the automatic version is basically just the same thing, but a lot easier and in one transaction. But basically like what looping is let's just say you deposit $1,000 worth of collateral. Now you can borrow $750 worth of MIM. Now with that $750 worth of MIM, you can go buy $750 worth of bomb, stake that for XBomb, take that XBomb, deposit it as collateral, and now you got a whole bunch more borrowing power. So now you can take that, that extra borrowing power you just got, you can take that MIM, that you can borrow more MIM, take that MIM and repeat the process. And you can do that over and over again. So now you can have, a much higher exposure to XBomb, which is paying an insane APR. So, you could actually maybe get well over 1,000% APR, depending on how high you leverage up the amount of XBomb that you have exposure to versus, your initial investment. So, and the automatic way of doing that, which we should be able to implement. Let's see if that one doesn't have it. This one doesn't have it. Yeah, I got to go to Phantom.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll just demo it. I'll demo it on my XBoo position.
So it's a great way to basically cut out loads of manual work and also transaction fees as well. So here you can just do it all in one go, or you could be doing multiple transactions, building up.
Yeah, because to do it, it's the pain to do it manually. Like if you do it manually, you got like 4 different transactions that you got to do for each loop. Where like with this, it just does everything in one transaction using flash loans.
Yeah, so when you're looping, say 5 times, that's a decent 20 transactions, which is
it's the pain.
Yeah.
So I like living life on the edge. Let's push this to the limit. So so I can borrow 43 MIM. So let's borrow 40. So let's borrow 38. So right now that puts me 2.55% away from liquidation. So my liquidation price is 23.15. XBoo is 23.75. So now if we take a look at leverage, I know this is probably going to bug me to bump that up, so let's do that. So right now I didn't touch anything yet on the leverage bar, but you can see it's instead of borrowing 38, it's going to borrow 64 now. And what that's going to do is it's basically going to borrow MIM, get Boo, stake it for XBoo, use that XBoo as collateral, and then basically it's going to do the exact same loop that we just talked about, but it's going to happen automatically. So we could pump this up, all the way up to as high as you want. Let's do this for fun. So from a $38 borrow, I'm going to end up getting $125 worth of exposure to XBoo with this. So. Yeah, so these are all based on Bento Box. I think Abra, I know that they have degen box as well, which I guess is a modified version of Bento Box. On BSC, it seems like they run both of them. But let's just take a look at this transaction. All right, so now I'm 2% away from getting liquidated, but my amount of collateral that I have deposited jumped up like crazy. Obviously, I wouldn't recommend getting this close. I'm just doing it for demo purposes, and maybe we can catch myself getting liquidated during the stream. That'd be pretty fun. But so let's look at that transaction. Yeah, so I mean, you could just see here, a bunch of numbers, but essentially it was able to borrow a lot more MIM than what I had, what I was actually able to borrow just because of the fact of, getting the extra collateral that it's depositing. So it saves all the steps of all that looping that we were just talking about.
And say just also to make it very clear, when we get approved, hopefully for Abra, we'll bring out an article with basic demonstrations and how to use the whole system to make sure everybody's educated and understand how it all works.
Yeah, and the article that I'm going to write, most likely later today, is going to really go into depth about a lot of that stuff as well. It's going to be a recap of everything that I just said, but formulated a little bit better and easier to understand and more thorough, and some strategies and recommended how much you should borrow depending on your risk tolerance or how active you are, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Just educating the whole team, all the bombers, everybody else who wants to get involved, just so everybody knows what they should really be doing to benefit everybody really well.
All right. So if there's no more questions about Abra, well, actually, so plan B, I guess, for Abra is that if for some reason that we can't get approved, we can launch our own full Abra fork. The downside of that is that Abracadabra has a lot of liquidity on MIM. So you could, borrow hundreds of thousands of dollars in MIM and you'd be able to swap that to whatever you want without taking a hit because of lack of liquidity. So what that means is when there's not enough funds in the pools to facilitate a big trade, you end up, for example, on $100,000 trade, you might lose a couple $1,000s, where really with US stable coins, you should be able to do $100,000 trade and, lose a very, very minimal amount, maybe $100 or less, depending. So, so the issue for us is if we launch this would be getting our own stable coin to, have that high liquidity. So we'd have to, incentivize that, or, we'd have to do something about that, but it's definitely doable. It's not quite as ideal, but so we're definitely, trying to get the Abra partnership, and I'm confident we'll get it.
I think so too. So the next step then was you're thinking about possibly bridging over and looking into our NFTs, right?
Yeah. So last night I wanted to play around with something new last night, and one of our team members, Lico, he had put together a whole bunch of layers for a bomb money NFT a couple months ago, and I just didn't really have a chance to get I played around with it a little bit and I built out all the images and everything, but I didn't get around to deploying it. And that was probably a good month and a half ago. So last night I was like, I want to do something a little bit different. So decided to deploy those NFTs, or deploy the contract for the NFTs, and just get everything, all set up, have a little mini website where people could mint the NFTs. So I'm just going to demo all that right now. And just to tie in with Abra, what I'll do is I'll actually borrow. So let's just say that, I'm heavy in BOM, like, a lot of our community is. And then you see this opportunity on another network or even on BSC that you want to get involved in, but you don't want to give up that precious BOM that you got, right? So I'm going to demonstrate right now how you'd go about doing that.
As we said earlier, this opens it up to purchasing whatever you'd like, really.
Yeah, anything.
So anything at all.
Actually, another note. So BSC, so Binance Smart Chain, or BNB chain, whatever they call it now, they don't have the greatest liquidity on MIM. So if you are doing a transaction for a couple $100,000, you might want to bridge it to a network where they have more liquidity. Let's just actually see if the situation's gotten any better. So let's see if we want to go like MIM. Why does that link not work? 1 sec, guys. All right, so MIM2, let's say BUSD. It's probably the biggest. That is brutal. Okay, that was maybe not a good choice.
You can't hear that background noise, can you, Aaron?
A little bit.
Okay, I'll mute for most of the time. They're drilling down below me for some reason.
Okay, so this is actually worse than I thought it was. It was worse than last time I checked. So yeah, if you're doing anything even close to 100,000, you're not going to want to do the swap on Binance Smart Chain. You're going to want to bridge that MIM, over to like Phantom or Avalanche or Ethereum mainnet, anywhere where they have a lot of liquidity. I'm sure they will address this issue and get more liquidity. But yeah, I mean, you can see right here, you'd be taking a over a $9,000 hit to do this swap, which is obviously not good. So, all right. So right now I have 50 MIM. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to demonstrate the NFTs that we launched and, how you could potentially use your XBomb collateral to borrow MIM to go buy some random something on a different chain. So what I'll do first is I'll swap the MIM to, I can just swap it right to Matic, I guess. Why don't you look different? Oh, it might have been connected. Okay. Swap this. Oh, wait, I'm not doing 100,000. Oh, wait, what am I doing? MIM to Matic.
That's a lot of NFTs.
Actually, let's borrow a little bit more. Is that more than I'm allowed? So wait for that to go through. Should be good. Yep. All right. So let's get 83 Matic. So now a lot of bridges we can use, but using any swap earlier, it's working quite well, so I'll just stick with that.
Yeah, so something else we'll talk about in a minute as well is our cross-chain bridges as well.
All right, so let's go from BNB. So over to Polygon. All right, looks good to me. All right, so while we wait for that to finish, I'll show you guys the NFTs. So basically, this is not the prettiest site. It's just basically a mini site that lets you mint the NFTs. They're 400 NFTs. I'll actually go to the open page, show you guys.
I'm excited to buy mine later on. It's going to be good.
So now, these NFTs, they're not revealed yet. So what that means is that, the NFTs typically have, they're all images that are randomly generated from multiple different layers. There's some that are, have a higher rarity rating than others, or, depending on what your taste is, you might like certain of them more than others. So until we've minted all 400 of our NFTs, you won't know anything about it. So you're just buying an NFT. So it's already predetermined what that NFT looks like. The image is already made. All the attributes are already set. It's just that until I flip that switch to reveal them, you're just going to see kind of just a, question mark here. So that's perfectly normal for right now. So if you look at the collection, we've got 76 that have been purchased. And wait, how's the floor? I thought the floor price was higher. Oh,
76 already sold. That's minted. Sorry, that's awesome.
Yeah, and yeah, this was just mentioned to the community, like 3-4 hours ago. So we're already a quarter or 1/5 sold out, something around there. So so basically all the NFTs are just going to look like this until we reveal them. It's up to you if you want to put it for sale, if you just want to hold it. You can do as you please with it.
I see quite a few up there for multiple F, like 10 plus. I think I saw somewhere down a bit.
I think someone was just playing around and just like they were just increasing it by 1 every time. Like they did like number 2 for 2 ETH and then number 3 for 3 ETH and so on. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they start going for those values.
They could do in the future, 100%.
Pretty rare. Once we have multiple collections in the future, and this is the very first collection, very limited run. And we could attach some special functionality to it as well. So pretty exciting stuff. This is what the actual number 1. So Bomb Money OG NFT number 1. That's exactly what it looks like. It's not the coolest looking of them. I'll say that because I've seen them all. There's some, I'd say this is a below average one. Most of them look quite a bit better, but that's just a demo. So let's see how that's going. This should probably be done. So let's buy some.
YouTube chat said number 400 for 400 ETH. Seems reasonable.
Yep. So I got Matic in there. Let's connect the wallet. Just some basic information here as well. At the pre-reveal mint, 400 available. They're all unique with multiple random characteristics. Once they're all minted, they will be revealed. So all the metadata will be there. The image will be there. Pricing is going to be 25 Matic until the end of March, and then it's going to jump up to 50. The pace that we're going, I doubt that we're ever going to see this. We're going to be sold out well before then.
Homer Joe just said Bomb OG number 1 looks like stew.
He said it looks like stew.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does kind of, the orange hair.
See the resemblance. Just his little mustache.
So once you've got your wallet all connected up, you'll see this. I just changed it actually. So before you were only able to purchase 5 at a time. Now I bumped it up to 20. So any whales out there that want to secure a bunch of them, you can do that all in one transaction. But let's mint 3 of these guys. So that's going to cost 75 Magic. A lot of problem people have been having today with minting these is Polygon network is pretty busy. And it's, transactions get stuck there quite often if you don't up the gas. So this has been working quite well for me. I'm just going on aggressive here, and I mean, look what the gas is still very minimal. but it actually gets the transaction through. So that's what counts.
Yeah. Polygon gas is awesome.
And for anyone that does this, if you're having an issue of it not going through, I just recommend just hitting speed up, and mine just went through. But if yours is not going through, just hit that speed up and push her through. So let's actually take a look at that transaction just to see what happened. So you can see here, mint of bomb money OG. This is the contract address. I got token ID 78, 79, and 80. Pretty straightforward. For anybody that wants to actually add this to their wallet, I think MetaMask would typically pick it up by itself. But if you do need to manually add it, the two things that you would need to know is the contract address, which is this right here. And you'd need to know the token IDs as well. So there's better ways to do it, though. Like a much more user-friendly way to do it would be just to pop on OpenSea. So that's why we didn't deploy on Binance Smart Chain, why we deployed on Polygon, just because of the support for Polygon and OpenSea. So let's go over to my profile. So it looks like it hasn't refreshed yet.
This is where we see a Bored Ape in there somewhere.
Why is that not showing up yet?
Yeah, somebody just saying in the YouTube chat, yes, the aggressive worked for me on all transactions. So that's key.
Yep.
If you're struggling to get through. And I'll be doing that in probably shortly after this video ends. I'll be buying my own ones.
Yeah. So now you can see I've got 3 more here now. So if I go to my original one, just to see the details, it's ID number 26, and this is the contract address. Once we would do the reveal, you'll see the image here. You'll have a lot more details here in terms of like the attributes, how rare the attributes are, just how rare the item is in general, just with the combined rarity of the attributes. You can also see, more from this collection in case you want to buy one, or in case you want to just see what else is out there. Actually, another really cool thing here is you could actually use this to send your NFT somewhere else. So, if it's not showing up in your MetaMask and you don't want to go through that process of having to add the contract and the token and the token ID or the NFT ID, you could just, send right from here. It makes things really easy. So, yeah. So basically that was me bridging Matic over and buying NFTs. And now we're just basically waiting for the reveal, and then we'll all have our own unique NFTs that we can, hold on to them, post them up for sale on OpenSea, do as you please with them, really. And we'll probably be building out some good use cases for them in the future. Maybe exclusive access to, a special Discord channel or Telegram channel, or, there's a lot of different things that we could do for the holders of the NFTs. And we could.
Yeah, we've been going through lots of ideas within the team. So look out for those, and it'd be worth picking them up now before we release that and they'll sell out.
Exactly. So, yep. So that is the NFTs. Anybody have any questions about the NFTs? And again, that was just something that I just wanted to have some fun last night. So I spent a couple hours just deploying that and getting it all set up on OpenSea. So, that wasn't like a major item for us, just something fun for the community.
Yeah. So obviously it's been pretty popular already. We've got over 2,000 Matic in the contract there.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. Bomb strong,
The bomb squad is strong. It's been proven time and time again.
Just look at the Abracadabra forum. Look at the NFTs. That came out of nowhere. And, already we've got $3,000 of NFT purchases. So it's
amazing.
It's amazing. Yep. So, here we should see that this is updated, that there's less available now. Although this doesn't load half the time. Yeah. So you can see I have minted 3. So now there's 81 that have been taken. So questions about the NFTs, anyone?
So I don't see any in the previous chat there. I think we can move on to our next topic, and if anything pops up, I'll let you know, I think.
Okay.
So
what is the next topic?
Our next one, I think we could probably talk about possibly the bridges and how we're getting on with that and the progress with those.
Yep. So Synapse, my contact over there, they put me in a private chat on their Discord with with some of the devs and the guys that actually deploy the tokens on the other chains. And so that's a great sign. We should be getting things moving real quick. I haven't really heard much from them. So I've only been in that chat with them for about a day, but they've been just having a lot of issues with Polygon and just various other, just general issues that they've been having. Not like downtime related issues or anything like that, but just issues doing their, normal deployments and everything like that. So it seems like they're just a little bit behind schedule, but yeah, that'll be great once that kicks off.
So only temporarily, but then that's a lot more buying pressure on BOM. When you can purchase it from multiple other chains, that's going to be fantastic for the protocol as a whole.
Yep. Actually, you know what? Let's talk about Midas. That's going to be pretty exciting.
Oh, yeah. Go for it. Yeah, pop their website up wherever.
Didn't I have... So I will admit that Riley was the one that was in contact with them, so I'm not overly familiar with exactly what's going on, but essentially they're a lending borrowing protocol. Actually, what I'll do is I'll go over to, what was it,
Rari, yeah.
So they're an official fork of Rari, so we can just take a look at how this works. And
it was noticeably the Fuse protocol, wasn't it? Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one with a million different coins in it. I keep laughing at it.
So let's take a look at something that's a little bit more standard. Dog park, right up my alley. See that
one? Dog coins only, 100%.
I always crack jokes about the dog coins. Yes. All right. So basically, the way that this works is, you essentially have a bunch of assets that you're able to supply, and that's what you would use as collateral. So that could be something like BOM, XBOM, maybe B-Share. Doesn't make the greatest collateral token, but we'll see what they want to do. Also LP tokens. So, BOM, BTCB. What would be really cool that we should find out if they can do?
What's that?
Well, I mean, actually, there's a little bit of overlap with our other leverage solution based on Taro. But if we could use the receipt token from our auto vault and use that as collateral, that's interesting. Right? Because now you're auto compounding. Basically, you're doing something similar to the abracadabra situation. Yeah, you're earning yield, auto compounding yield off our main pair, and using that as collateral.
Yeah, and that's gaining every single day, no matter what.
Well, I mean, actually, now that I think about it, that's pretty much what Taro added to the Imprimax solution, right? Because Imprimax had the whole deposit LPs, then you can leverage your LP position larger, and then you're earning off the trading fees. But what Taro did is they threw like a vault auto compounder in the middle. So that's, in essence, that's what that would be, right? If we were able to use the receipt token from our auto compounder to use that as collateral, you'd have a yield bearing token that's actually a pair instead of a single asset, right? And then you'd be able to use that as, so I mean, we'll see if that can be done, but that would be,
well, we can ask them. We're in the chat with them, so we can have a little quiz.
That'd be incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, essentially we're gonna have a basket of assets that you're able to supply, and then you'll be able to borrow, typically stable coins or some of the more stable cryptos. And generally, like if you're trying to go, if you're trying to get more exposure to crypto, you would always be, supplying an asset that you like BOM, XBOM, BOM LP, something like that, and you'd borrow US stable coins and then buy, more crypto with that.
And just to say, to add to that, do you want to just quickly delve into the fact that we can put any coins in our pools, any percentages as well. It's all custom. Whatever we want, they can do pretty much, right?
That I'm not. So I think that when I was showing you that was more about the balancer stuff. So I have to learn more about this. I'm not sure if they also have like an automated market maker type functionality built into this. So that I'm not 100% sure on, but for sure you could use any of the assets that you deposit as collateral to borrow.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Cool.
So this is probably, or might be coming this week. Last week they said it would be coming this week, but I think just in, implementing some of the automatic like liquidations and just, getting everything working in the price oracles and everything, I think they might be a little bit delayed on that. So I'd say probably early next week.
And to also add to that, will be in their initial launch as well. So as they're doing their marketing campaigns, everything will be straight there, front page. One of the first ones there, which is great for them and great for us.
Yep. So this, I wonder if they've had any progress here. Yeah, no, still looks the same, but this will be ready very soon.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome stuff.
Did we have any questions from community or anything?
I didn't see any in the chat there. So what we'll do, any questions, guys, ask away there. And in the meantime, we've already touched on it. Maybe we can go a bit more into our new UI, which will be bringing the Tarot lending and borrowing system.
Yep. So let me pull up the bombshell.
If you haven't seen this, guys, have a look at the bombshell. It's full of everything we're discussing here. It's a real chunker, this one.
Yeah. Yeah. First, just mentioned that I brought on Dan as partner. Really excited about that. Great things coming to Bomb now. Having Dan, he's extremely committed. He's got a lot of great things to say about him, but he'll show you how beneficial he's going to be to the protocol. Just
we'll do it with actions. How's that?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So our new UI, there was a slight delay over the weekend. It was supposed to be almost done by the end of the weekend, but someone had a personal issue, so it wasn't able to get quite as completed as we would have liked. But it is getting quite close. We've already discussed, quite a few times exactly what that's going to do. I guess I can go over it real quick, but essentially it's going to be an extremely easy to use UI so that we can have a wider target market and, be something that new crypto users can be more comfortable using. One of the main things related to that is going to be, for one, allowing users to stay on our site and do everything that they need to do without ever leaving our site. That way, because new users, I feel that a lot of the issue is that they don't know what to trust, who to trust, what is safe to do, what's not safe to do. If they stay on our website, they can know with confidence that they're safe. So that's one big factor. As well, at the end here, I was talking about how we're going to have different wallet options, such as Fortmatic and Tor.us or Taurus. These are kind of like a web-based login that's extremely secure, but it's not a browser extension. It's something that you can, it's more like a centralized exchange login, I guess you could say, but for DeFi, for it's kind of like a hybrid, basically. So they are corporations. I'm not sure, how, if you're worried about keeping 100% anonymous, I'm not sure if that's the best option for you. But for new users that just want to get involved, know that their funds are safe and don't, have the time or ability to learn all the intricacies of how to keep your funds safe and what not to do, then that's going to be a great option to start out with. I was really impressed when I played around with them on SushiSwap like 6-7 months ago, and they both do support Binance Smart Chain. So we will integrate both of them. And this is a very early, image of what the design is going to look like somewhat. Just very straightforward, just, menu down the side and, all the stats that you need to see, nothing that you don't need to see. It's going to all be focused on our main pair, BOM, BTCB. And with everything else that we got going on, B share is going to be flying. That pair is going to be paying amazing. You're going to be able to leverage that 10 times out as long as, we have the assets supplied for you to borrow to do that leverage. And actually, speaking of that, I think that, when we first launched, I feel like a lot of people really enjoyed, the constant action that they had on our protocol. Like they'd have to, manually collect your rewards, sell it so that you can, build your position bigger. And, now a lot of people are in the auto compounder and there's really not that much to do. Literally, it's better to just leave it there because you don't want to make a bad trade, from emotion because you see a dip temporarily or anything like that. But once we have an Abra partnership, once we have leveraged LPs, once we have, the single asset staking, the APRs and all these different things are going to change on a day-to-day basis based on utilization. So for those that like to be like really deeply involved with their DeFi positions and really optimize and tweak everything to get, every last dollar out of it, you're going to now have that ability. And it's going to make sense to do that. It's not something that's going to be required, but for those that like to tinker and play around, I mean, just as a random example, BTCB is going to be in a high demand for borrowing for single asset staking, right? So it's because our users are going to be getting a lot of BOM. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of BOM supplied on the single asset side. And I feel like we'll also have a lot of BTC supplied, especially with BTC mainnet staking once we're feeding that BTC into that specific single asset pool. But I do feel that, if we're going to be short on either of the two assets, it's likely going to be BTC.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because say we've got we will have lots of BOM being printed, and you went down the whole Abra route. So you go for XBOM, you get your MIM, and then you could lend out Bitcoin and put that into our tower. You could self feed it pretty much.
Yeah, and that's how the whole Taro system was designed. Really, is that if just say for example our BTC single asset supply is at 98% utilization. Well, it's not that it's unsafe, but it's not ideal. So what happens in that case is the APR to borrow goes really high, so it de-incentivizes people from further borrowing, and the APR for supplying goes extremely high, so it incentivizes more people to supply BTCB. So in that case, it might make sense to take that MIM that you borrowed from depositing your XBOM and switch that into BTCB and supply it on the single asset side. Or basically there's going to be so many different options of what you can do, because it really makes sense that everything that you do starts with taking your BOM, depositing it for XBOM, and being able to borrow MIM. And because MIM is a US stablecoin, you can do anything with it, and you don't negatively affect the protocol because you're not causing sell pressure. If anything, you're going to be causing buy pressure, which is just going to be healthy. Right. So
exactly.
You're going to have a lot of options and a lot of juggling around that you could do if you want to be tweaking things constantly, or even once a day, or basically whatever your level is of activity that you want will have that ability for you, and it'll actually be worth your time, because balancing things could really help you get bigger gains quicker.
Yeah, like we said earlier, it's just more and more places to put your bombs. So the sell pressure is going to be reduced greatly for all of these different plans we've got. It's once the ball gets rolling, it's not going to stop, I don't think.
Yeah, like I actually can't figure out any reason where it ever makes sense to sell BOM. Like you're always going to be better off going into XBOM and borrowing MIM.
So, exactly.
And with constantly printing in our B share skyrocketing, our regular farms are going to be paying a ton. But instead of just selling half your BOM for BTCB, so much better off just getting XBOM, and even just taking the MIM that you get from borrowing from that collateral of XBOM, and even buying half BOM, buying half BTCB. Yeah, your farm position is not going to be as big as if you just did that direct right from the boardroom. But now you're getting 300, 400, 500% from XBOM on top of what you're getting from the farm position. So you're getting yield from multiple places off the same money, and you're only paying 3% to borrow that MIM.
So and it's all just growing, and it's I can't even describe it.
You guys know that I'm not crazy optimistic with my predictions. I don't think, but I'm trying to keep them conservative. But I don't see how this doesn't bring us to 1 billion TVL. It just adds up. This is like it's just like I just see every YouTuber just having to talk about this because it's the obvious play Like I could see people bridging from other chains onto BSC in order to do this, and then even bridging out their MIM, right? Just because of how lucrative this is and how safe it is, right? And the
to do
BTC
anything
exposure.
Else. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you could have influencers and YouTubers doing our whole borrow MIM strategy, and then using that MIM to go into a degen box strategy, possibly to earn on the stables as well. It's limitless, basically limitless. So many different options. Like you said, once it all comes out and it booms, they'll all be covering it all the time.
Yeah. And again, like constant printing from the boardroom. I mean, B share is just, it's going to go nuts, which is just going to feed back, and everything's just going to be that much better off.
For sure. Got a question here in YouTube. Do you have the perfect strategy now? I say it all depends on what your personal aims are, I believe.
Yeah, there's so many variables. The article that I write will give a lot of strategies. And what probably like what my ideal strategy would be. And, but there's so many variables, such as like, what does your current position look like? Or if you're a new investor, how much are you putting? What is your risk tolerance? What assets do you want exposure to? I mean, there's a lot of variables to, it's impossible to say what the perfect strategy is. But what I could do is I could lay out, like, if you're a conservative person, this is what I would probably do. If you are, moderate, this is what I'd probably do. Or if you're, a risk taker, this is what I would do. Or if you're like me and you like to get liquidated, this is what I would do. Right. So I'll probably lay those 4 out.
Say also as well, just to really answer the fact, say you're a long time holder of a certain coin. Say you're a long time holder of Bitcoin, for example. It makes total sense to sell your Bitcoin, buy BOM, get XBOM, get MIM, and then rebuy your position in Bitcoin.
Yep. Yeah, actually, and that was actually a great example, because doing what you just said, your actual Bitcoin position right from day one would be a little bit smaller, but the advantages of having that massive APR, and the thing is, even though your Bitcoin position would be a little bit smaller because you can only borrow 75%, you actually have that same Bitcoin exposure in XBOM. So, and essentially you have way more Bitcoin exposure.
Yeah, I was going to say long-term holder of ETH, and I thought Bitcoin a bit more fitting there. But like you said, even though you've got a smaller position, 75%, it won't take long with the APR of XBOM to keep building your position in Bitcoin back to above what you started with when you were holding.
Yep.
And it's all just growing every day. Especially when we're printing, it's just going to be astronomical.
Yep. So because the article that I'm going to write about Abra and strategies and impacts and everything, if there's anything that you guys want to see specifically in that article, if you want to let me know in the chat, just to make sure that I incorporate that, that'd be appreciated. Like I've got a great idea of what should be included, but just in case I've forgotten anything, or anything specific that you guys want to see, like the strategies was a great idea. So thanks for that. And anything else that you'd want to see in there, just let me know.
Yeah, so pop it in this chat here, or go into one of our socials, Telegram, Discord, and just put them in there as well if you're watching this afterwards.
Send me snail mail if you prefer.
Send an email, fax him, page him, anything.
All right. So the corporate website, this is something that we've been talking about for quite a while, but we've actually got the wheels moving on this right now. Kind of afraid to show it just because it's in a pretty rough state, but we can show it. Basically what I did is I just copied the corporate site from basically the parent company of BOM, OneCoin, and I'm just switching everything out to be BOM related. So, I mean, this part's somewhat done, but we just really got to fill in the content in some of these pages. And, this is going to basically showcase all of the different BOM projects that are part of the ecosystem. It's going to have links to everything. Like you can see here, BOM, DeFi, BTC staking. We'll add, more stuff there as we need to. All of our social links. We're going to have a lead generation here that's going to have automated marketing so that we can, really convert users into customers. We're going to have a hiring section here where we're going to have all the individuals that we're looking for, because we're going to be, looking again to rapidly expand the team. Really looking for driven individuals that, just same goals as us, that just, they see what Bomb can do, and they're just willing to do whatever it takes to, take it to the next level. And, that's, I feel like that's why, I connected so well with Dan, because we really both have that same mentality and that same drive. So we're really looking for more individuals that are, kind of on, able to just kind of get things done on their own and make decisions. And, if you think that that's you and you can bring value to Bomb, we'd love to hear from you. But you can always check this page. I think we'll have the site in a usable state in, I think, no more than a couple of days. It's just content we got to fill in. So it's not in a great
bits and bobs afterwards. We're planning on doing.
100%. So it's I bought a new domain for this just because I didn't want to confuse any of our current sites with the corporate site. So it's bombcorp.com. It's not in great shape right now, so nothing really to check out currently, but we got a question.
There's a question popping up there.
You want to read that?
Yeah, go for it. Upon looking at the chart right now, Bomb doesn't have much traction in terms of buying and selling Bomb. When do you guys see the volume changes? I think it means when do we think the volume will change, possibly?
Well, there's several things that can impact that. I think that from what I've seen, there has been a lot of buys. The buys have been on the smaller side. I think we're getting a lot of new users, but I feel just the fact that we have been under peg for a longer period of time than we would have preferred. Some of our longer term holders that do happen to have bigger bags are maybe getting impatient. So some of those sells have hurt quite a bit. But with what we have coming up between the new UI, between potential Abra integration, BTC single staking is on a whole nother level now because Dan had implemented a whole bunch of improvements there. So there's a lot of things that we have coming up that's going to really get buy pressure up, and this.
So everything today, from the new UI to Abra and everything in between, is all itself going to be a factor of getting new buys in, and especially the Abra proposal and getting that through, because like we've said, there'll be just more and more buying on Bomb because it makes sense.
Yeah, if you look at our communities, while being at 0.85 peg, sentiment is at all-time highs. Like our community is so really sees the vision, right? I don't know how else to put it, but they're I'm super pumped, and they seem to be just as pumped as me. So it really is incredible. So it's really just a matter of time, and I strongly feel that once we get over, because of the way that XBomb works and because of the Abra partnership and various other things, I really don't see a lot of sell pressure coming, and I see a lot of demand for Bomb, right? And and plus there's additional partnerships that we're waiting to get to pegged in order to be able to get on board with those protocols. So there's that going too.
Even more gems in the back of our pocket that we can't quite say yet, some of them. So
yeah, basically we're doing all the right things, just some of them take some time, some of them are out of our control in terms of how much time, and just basically all I can say is just have faith that we're going to keep doing everything that we possibly can to not only hit peg, but hit peg soon, and to maintain it, and to grow this thing to 1, 5, 10 billion, whatever we can get it to.
Saying that's the emphasis on getting above peg and holding there as well.
Yeah,
exactly. Because once we get above and we stay there, B shares goes up, APRs go up, we get lots of traction, we get loads of videos about us done. It just flies. Everything takes off.
Yeah, so I think what we need to do is just kind of try to speed the Abra thing along, and if we need to fork it and run our own, then that's something that we can do. But I'd like to find that out sooner than later. But it really would be beneficial to be able to get on board with Abra, of course. So we'll do everything that we need to for that.
Of course we will. Quick question in the YouTube comments here: where do we see the real world purpose of Bomb token?
Long term, Bomb chain. Right now it's there's. Why do people buy Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin is a way better asset to hold long-term than any fiat currency. Well, why would you hold Bomb? Because it's Bitcoin exposure with incredible APR, right? We're going to build a lot more use case than that, but that alone is more than enough reason in itself, right?
Say, another question popped up there. With all the cool things coming, no need for a capital raise now.
we're still interested in a capital raise just because, for example, like Abra, our liquidity on our primary pair is quite low compared to what it was due to our, regain peg campaign. So, I mean, I'm very confident that, with a capital raise that we could give that investor the deal of a lifetime on an investment that I've said countless times is the best investment in the world. So, you combine those two things, it's extremely beneficial to the investor. It's going to really help Bomb in the short and long term because, just pumping us above peg and, letting us get some of those other partnerships, giving Abra more confidence that we have more liquidity. It's just going to make everything so much easier to happen. So, we're definitely still looking for that. And we'll pay a hefty finder's fee to anybody that can find that for us. And the investor will also, depending on how we want to structure it, they're going to either, get a extremely large repayment or they're going to get a big discount on their position. So, it's not something that we require, but it's something that, it'd be beneficial for everybody. So we're definitely still open to it.
Yeah, it's something we're still talking in chats to people about as well, and groups and everything. So, like Aaron said, if you know of anybody or possibly yourself, then contact us and let us know.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take a 2-minute break if you want to carry on for a minute, Dan, if you don't mind.
Go for it. Cool. Yeah. Right then, guys in the chat, have we got any other questions here? Here we go. Is the Midas partnership an investment in Bomb money capital raise? No. They are not an investment in Bomb. They are simply a Rari fork, which will be putting our Bomb token into one of their pools. And then they'll be adding other tokens, like, say, Bitcoin or whatever we choose to put in there. And then once we've done that, they'll be generating fees, etc., on the whole pool and the whole system. And also as the liquidations, if that happens. There is way more reason in holding Bomb over Tomb, in my opinion. Definitely, in my opinion, I'm definitely not biased at all. No. I do hold a little bit of Tomb as well, but hold a lot more Bomb. I'll tell you that now. And it just makes a lot more sense. We've done so much more in the past few months than Tomb have done. Well, I say past few months. Over the past month or so, we've done a lot more than Tomb has done since inception, pretty much. Especially if they were to bring in something like X-Tomb, for example. If they were to do that and put it forward, they could probably absolutely smash their peg even now with their massive TVL. But for some reason, they don't seem to be doing that. Not sure why, but holding Bomb is good. Also, the fact that we're linked up to Bitcoin rather than FTM. Personally, I've not had too much interest in FTM. I have a little bit, a little tiny bag. Just holding it, earning a bit of interest, but my Bitcoin bag is a lot bigger than that, I'd say. Just again, the daddy of all cryptos. And I think after time, out of the, say, you look at the top few cryptocurrencies at the moment, you've got obviously Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think only a few will stand the test of time. And then a lot of them are going to burn out. That's my opinion. And I think quite a few people would agree with me in that case as well. So I just don't see how, say, after half a year or so, we've had obviously an influx of Bomb forks coming in. And I think only a couple, maybe a handful will survive from each different section, sort of Binance Smart Chain and Ethereum. So I don't see how. Welcome back. I don't see how we will be one of those people who will be staying. I believe definitely. Just been talking about Midas partnership and also about Bomb and Tomb now as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything that you said. Right, it's we've been innovating at record speed, and it was unfortunate all the 500 Bomb clones that popped up with high APRs, and some people were APR chasers, so we had some users leave, but even though that we're not a new protocol, with all these new things that we have coming out, our APRs are going to go through the roof, and they'll be coming right back, right? So it was just a temporary slowdown, but nothing that we're concerned with at all.
Yeah, another quick question there. What do you guys do in order to gain more users right now? Other folks are doing crazy. So if you want to go for that one.
Well, I mean, we've spent, over $100,000 in marketing since we launched. We have a staff of 20. We're doing as much as we can to get new users. But the thing is that we're building the new UI so that we can have a wider target market, right? So right now with our current interface, pull it up, I feel that the actual users that we can, the visitors that we can convert to users is a very small subset of the population. You have only 2 or 3% of the population that's even into crypto, an even smaller percentage of that is into DeFi. And then a fraction of that is, familiar with Tomb and Tomb forks. And then, a lot of those guys are APR chasers. So if you run those numbers, putting marketing dollars into trying to find that 0.01% that would be willing to invest right now with our current interface. We've slowed down a little bit on the marketing spending, but yeah, I mean, we are getting new users every day. We're every day we're finding new influencers to, do AMAs with, and we should have some exciting ones coming up. But once our new UI is ready, we will just pour marketing money into that. And same with, bombBTC.com or single staking, that we've polished it quite a bit. And we're doing, the corporate site to build that trust. People that know me and know Dan, they have extreme trust in the protocol, but a new visitor to our site doesn't have that right away until they've spent some time with us or they've watched a bunch of our videos, right? So we need to address that, and we're addressing that head on with the corporate site.
Yeah, for sure. And that's one of the aims, especially with the new UI and especially Bitcoin single staking page that we've got, which is bombBTC.com. If you haven't seen it, have a little look. We want to be able to target everybody. That's the aim. So easy onboarding, easy to understand, direct, and it guides you through everything. I've got a few more adaptations here on the page that you're looking at that I want to get in there. One of which is going to be a calculator on the front there, so you can see with the live APR what you could be earning, as well as next to it we'll have a video from Aaron and possibly myself just explaining the basics and basically why people should invest with us.
Yep.
To get really user friendly. That's the aim.
And keep in mind, for anyone that's staked Bitcoin with other services, this probably looks extremely high. But for us, this is actually unbelievably low. So this will be a lot higher. The reason that this is low right now is because we have a temporary bomb single stake farm that's, getting half of all the rewards that we generate. That's going to go away as soon as we, get past peg for a little while. So this is going to, typically be in the 1 to 200 range. If everything goes even, close to as good as we're expecting with Abra and some of the other partnerships, this could be at 300, 400, 500% itself. So it's gonna be good
for sure.
We got a bunch of questions.
A few questions. I'll do the most recent one there from Mr. Rita. I think you should focus more on YouTube influencers. I've just popped a form in there, which is for all of our bombers and whoever else has got any ideas for marketing, just to put forward, just so we can funnel them all in. I can vet them all. That's one of my current jobs at the moment, is going through those and contacting loads of YouTubers. I've contacted around 30 different YouTubers, people on Twitter, to try and get videos done, AMAs done. So I'm waiting to hear back from a lot of them, but it's definitely one of our main focuses right now, try and get new eyes on the project. So that's, I said, definitely one of the main things we're doing.
And actually, just to add to that, I feel like the reason that we exploded when we first launched, we went from launching to, 40 million TVL in, I think, 2 to 3 weeks. I think a big factor behind that was that, it was, what we had was so great that people felt that they had to tell other people about it, or else they were doing them a disservice, right? Same thing goes for YouTubers, right? They want to make a video about this great protocol that's, doing things that other protocols aren't doing. Well, once some of these new features are released in, the very near future, I feel like that's all going to happen all over again. So we're going to have that, what growth is better than your buddy telling you that, hey, you got to get in this, like you're missing out, you got to get in this. Or YouTubers that normally would charge $20,000 for a video, they want their users to know about this because they want to deliver value to their users or their viewers. Sorry. So I think that organic spreading of awareness is going to be huge. And obviously we'll pour as much money into marketing as we need to.
Another one there about saying able to view the staking dashboard page without the login prompt. What I might do for that is I might address that by putting some screenshots into the documents so you can see it, because it's not quite possible to see the dashboard without logging in. That's sort of the whole principle behind it. But I think I can give people a sneak peek as to sort of behind the scenes what it looks like. That's a good idea. I think.
But again, there's no, like, it doesn't cost anything to open an account either. So I do think it's a good idea to have screenshots. But I mean, there's a lot of people that have signed up and even, put that they want to make us, initiate a stake position and they don't follow up with it. So I mean, like, you can really see what the whole process is like without spending any money. But we will get some screenshots going.
True. Yeah. It's just simply signing up and just giving your phone number. That's it. It's free. So,
but actually, that ties back with something that I mentioned earlier about like lead generation and automated marketing. We're going to do that to the fullest extent, right? So if somebody signs up to our website and they, indicate that they want to stake, and then if that payment doesn't come in, that's like the hottest lead that you can have that didn't convert. So that's something that we need to feed that into automated marketing to, strategically send them out emails at certain intervals that say just the right things based on, if they've come back to the site, if they haven't come back to the site, based on all these different variables that we can feed into automated marketing. Something that I've done with great success in the past. And, something that once you set it up once, it doesn't take any time in the future besides tweaking it. So, I'm big on automation and, scalability, and it's right up that alley. So
for sure. Because that person you just described there is pretty much on the edge and just maybe needs a little bit more information or something like that, just to push them over pretty much to get them to invest.
Is there a plan to create referral incentives? So this is something we've had a lot of discussions about this, among the team and with the community. So my stance on this, I'll let Dan give his opinion after. My stance on this. Are they similar?
I think so.
So I'm not a big fan of referral incentives. It really depends on how we would implement it. I think like some of the big centralized exchanges, like how they do it, like I'd be okay with something like that, where it's like, if you refer someone, maybe you guys each get a $15 bonus after you guys have both staked or something like that, or, something along those lines. But these referral programs where people that are influencers do, exponentially better than the average user, that's not something that I want to subject our users to. I want, as much as we are decentralized finance, that's one aspect of banks that I like. You don't get treated better because you have 1 million Twitter followers. You're going to get the same rate as the guy that doesn't even have a Twitter account, right? Yeah. That's how I want an even playing field for our users, right? And I feel like that's taking care of 100% of the people instead of making 0.1% that have a big following, making them a ton of money. I don't like that.
Yeah, like you said, it's a very delicate thing to try and balance. If it was some sort of set bonus, like you said, $15 each, then possibly something like that. But ideally, and we've talked about a different strategy, would be especially for Bomb BTC here, is to give somebody a bonus to themselves basically on their staking position. So say they staked 1 Bitcoin, they might get back, say, a 5 or 10% bonus after the 6-month period has ended. Those numbers aren't for definite, by the way, just sort of spitballing here, making them top of my head. But we've definitely discussed that, and that could be a much better way to get people to invest, personally.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're open to it, but we got to be really careful with it. Just, there's a lot of things that I'm not too into, when it comes to protocol. Incentives are tokenomics, and, one of them is taxes. Another one is massive referral systems. And, I want things to be simple, and I want there to be no barrier to entry, and I don't want an unfair playing field. So,
and Aaron's also a massive fan of drip as well. So,
Don't make me bust open my huge account.
Have you got any questions? We've got quite a few. We might have missed some. I have to quickly.
Don't get jealous, guys. Don't get jealous. I got 1.8 drip.
1.8. He's a baller. Any thoughts on adding more assets to the auto compounder, say BNB, BUSD, LP, to earn more fees for BOM?
This has been brought up in the past. I might not be correct on this, but my take on it is that the amount of fees generated from an auto compounder, I think, well, just to throw a comparison out there. So Dark Crypto on Chronos did this. And I think in their situation, it actually made sense because I'm not sure how much competition they have in the auto compounding field, right? So it's like on BSC, there's a lot of competition. There's, Auto Farm, there's Beefy, there's Yield Wolf. There's all these established guys that have a ton of liquidity there. They, it's like, that's a really uphill battle to get a really significant amount of money in our auto compounders when we're not doing anything special beyond what the other ones are doing. Yeah. So to get enough money in to actually generate fees that would actually make it worthwhile, it doesn't really seem like the right place to put our efforts.
Yeah, something down the line when we've got a much larger TVL and something like that could be really beneficial to the protocol as a whole and to protocol health, I think it's a good idea. But for now, I think, like you said, putting our efforts elsewhere would be much more beneficial.
All right, so we have another question. I'm currently holding B share on my wallet. I couldn't sell it because bought at a high price. What's the best thing I could do now to get some earnings? Well, I mean, for one, thanks for being part of the protocol for as long as you have been. Every day we're working extremely hard to, get those B shares more valuable. And I think we're just right on the cusp of that happening. So, hold on tight and throw them in the boardroom. And as soon as we start printing, put it for XBOM, borrow MIM, and you'll be net positive before you know it. Not financial advice.
Yep. So yeah, I'm in the same kind of boat. I've got bags in XBOM, BOM, and B shares myself. But basically, B shares is a sort of a bet on the protocol health and how well it's going to do in the future. And from everything we've said today and everything we know, the protocol is going to do really, really well and be really above peg and stay there.
And keep in mind though too that like BOM BTCB is our primary investment. It's people that went in that, they're in the green, right? Yep. Heavily in the green, very in the green, right? So we've always recommended, like when I get somebody into the protocol, I typically put them 100% into BOM BTCB. Warren Buffett's number one rule of investing: don't lose money. Well, BOM BTCB is incredibly stable. It's Bitcoin. It earns good yield. If when you buy B share, you have to know what you're getting into, and I feel like B share is going to do extremely well, but you definitely need to know what you're getting into when you buy it, right? So I apologize that you might not be net positive right now, but likely if you would follow like our suggested strategies, you probably wouldn't be in that situation right now. So maybe ask for advice perhaps on what's the best allocations, and that way you can maybe prevent that situation in the future. But I think either way, you're going to be doing fine in no time.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no doubt about that.
Dollar cost average down, my friend. Not financial advice, but I don't see B share getting much cheaper.
But so we've already gone down in my eyes. But I did exactly that on the way down. I was just accumulating more and more.
Oh yeah.
I think that was everything I've got on my notes here to discuss. So if there's just any other questions from any of the chats, now is the time to speak up. And so also, we didn't all know, it's Aaron's birthday today, so wish him happy birthday in the chat. He's 30 again, young man. So have you got anything else you want to add, Aaron, at all? You think you've covered pretty much everything? We've been here for an hour and a half. Wow.
Yeah, time's flying.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I think that's about it. Want to get back to partying for my birthday.
Yeah. Just a comment there about another one. Yeah, cool. Happy birthday. Happy born day. There we go. Yeah, I think I've said everything I need to say. So if you're finished and no other questions, I think we could probably wrap it up.
Yep. Thank you for the birthday wishes, guys.
Yeah, happy birthday, man. Have a good time.
I'm a pretty big B shareholder too, so I'm in the same boat, but I'm not selling it.
Show off.
That's the small account.
Oh, I don't like you sometimes. Lots of happy birthdays in the chat. There you go, man. Right,
thanks,
I think you should head off and go and enjoy yourself.
All right, if that's your order, I'll do it.
It is.
All right, guys. Well, thanks. Thanks everyone for joining the stream. See you guys Friday on the Twitter space.
Amazing. And,